Okay, before you say anything in the comments section, I want to say that this is by no means an attack against Outriders. It's an honest interpretation of what is happening in the game and what will ultimately become of Outriders if this doesn't change. Today I'll discuss legendaries and their relevance, the loot grind, and most importantly, endgame. You know, possibly part 2 of the infamous no PvP, no thanks video I made before Outriders was even released. That video was very controversial. Some agreed, others didn't. Fact is, it was a topic that needed to be addressed because we're already beginning to see the effects of an endgame which is very quickly coming to an end. Now, before we get down to business, I'd appreciate if you drop a like and subscribe. Your support is greatly appreciated. Now let's get started. Okay, when Outriders was announced and started to release more information, we found out that it was not going to be a live service game. This means that Square Enix and People Can Fly will give us a product, let us play, and what we have is what we'll have for a long time. A package deal, you know, like the old days. When they used to talk about Outriders, they would speak as though it was some vast and amazing and engaging story, which was, by the way. I gotta give credit where it's due, and I must admit I did enjoy the story. But the ability to lower your world tier and just blow through the campaign without having any effect whatsoever on your ability to level up, I think that was a mistake. Think about it. You gave the game to ambassadors a day before everyone else. Most of them got to endgame and began gold tiering expeditions in literally a day. So before the game was even released to the general population, endgame had already been reached. And by the time we got our hands on it, we wanted to get to endgame too. So a lot of us did the same thing. Lower our world tier and get to endgame as quickly as possible. But let me talk about legendaries for a sec. Then we can come back to it because this needs to be said. There are a few legendaries that are eluding me at the moment. That's the seismic helm and a few pieces of the statue set for the Devastator. Other than that, almost every weapon has dropped for me. Hence the next problem. No legendary is locked behind any content. They're just handed out like candy. There's even a glitch right now that allows you to literally select which legendary you want. So whenever you get a legendary, there's nothing really special about the experience. And right now, all everyone is using is moaning winds, not even firing their weapon, but instead switching between them to gain that mod ability over and over again. I'm just saying that this endgame loop is already, for me, starting to get redundant. Let me touch on expeditions because that's where the main issue lies. I was under the impression that expeditions would be these engaging missions that challenge you in different ways. Turns out I was right about one thing I said in my previous video, no PvP, no thanks. Here's what I said, listen up. People in the comments on my other Outriders videos automatically say, no PvP, no thanks. Players need that fix. PvE does not offer enough variety, no matter how you look at it. This is just my opinion. NPCs' behaviors can always be memorized, then missions as well. You learn all the spawn points and events, then you eventually start to speed run everything. But if that's what you enjoy, then to each its own. The devs said there'll be no recycling of content, but I beg to differ. There has to be, especially since this game is not live service. I think what they mean is that after completing the campaign, and they said this, the expeditions will not contain reskinned areas from the campaign. But that doesn't mean it won't be repetitive. Once you complete all expeditions, it will soon become perpetual, lacking variety. That's exactly how it is to a lot of people. I know many of you haven't fully experienced endgame, but all of us sweats have. And as I said, perpetual, lacking variety. But here's why. In expeditions, enemies always spawn from the same areas at the same times. There's nothing randomly generated. And it's funny that people say, you need to do that on CT15. That's all that matters. Listen, man, first of all, the tier system is just a higher level of the same thing, right? And once you get the right gear, you'll be right back to melting everything. I've done it already many times. That elitist mentality kills me sometimes. But what I'm saying is that once you get all the legendary gear and weapons for the classes that you prefer, it's only a matter of time before you just get burnt out and bored. And this is where I say PvP is something that will help. Even if they don't add PvP, at least give us some PvE activity that will provide a variety of replayability. I know many of you have personal reasons why you don't necessarily like PvP, and I can understand that. I've had people tell me that PvPers cheat, or it'll be a balancing disaster, or just simply PvE is all I need. Well, for me, an infinite loop of expeditions that provide a temporary dopamine high gets old. There's not enough variety involved. There are reasons why PvP for some is something that is necessary for endgame. Let me make one more point, and after this, I'm done. But think about this. Outriders is not live service. What we have is what we have, and we just have to deal with it. Players getting bored and losing interest is inevitable. So PvP would be a perfect add-on. It creates its own endgame by itself. Most who play PvP would make the case that they play PvE to get the appropriate gear to bring into a PvP arena and use it there. It's what I think is a natural balance that all games should have. And you may be saying as a PvEer that you're playing PvE to get what you need to complete the higher level expeditions. Okay, well then what? See how fast you can beat it next time? I mean, all of this is boiled down to speed runs. Listen, I'm not saying that PvP is an end all be all. You know, and Outriders might not even be the game for PvP to be added to because of all the skills and mods involved. It'll probably just make everything chaotic. But at least let there be something else where there are random occurrences that challenge you in other ways besides NPCs increasing in number and their damage being buffed. In my experience, games like that don't last. And I know all games eventually run their course, right? But the games that stay with me have always been those that I still think of till this day. Titles like Skyrim, Def Jam Vendetta, Fight for New York, The Division. Yes, I said it. And hold up, let me touch on that for a second, because after playing a game like The Division or Destiny for so long, you start to say to yourself, man, this game has no content. When are they gonna release something new? Not realizing that it has a ton of it, but you just need to take a break. So putting it into perspective when comparing it to Outriders Endgame, it doesn't even compare, really. I'm just speaking facts that a lot of players are thinking. And if they don't release any DLC or offer some type of roadmap, then people are going to start leaving the game. Some have already left. We are in an entire new era of gaming. Live service seems to be the way of the gaming world and something we should learn to accept. In this era, there have been games that challenge us in ways that far exceed this non-live service package deal mentality. It exceeds it in ways that your gaming experience is relative to something that could possibly happen in real life. The type of immersion that pulls you in. The way our brain works is such that whatever you expose it to for a long period of time is molded into how you think certain circumstances are supposed to be. So if you want an infinite loop of expeditions that all end the same, well, that's your choice. I hope that's not the case with Outriders because the game has massive potential. Think about it. 6-man raids, different game modes. So much can be added to this game with DLC expansions. I mean, they did make a ton of money on launch. I'm done talking about this, but I really want to know what you think. Make sure you let me know down in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. And drop a like too. I'll catch you later. Be right out.